welcome Ira, such an amazing person. Welcome here to our podcast.
Hello,
And
hello, hello, universe.
hello,
Hi, Alex. How
universe.
are you?
I am very well. I've been looking forward to this conversation because Ira is bringing 10 years of experience in the recruiting industry. She's a fellow immigrant like myself to this wonderful country, Canada. And so we'll be able to go a bit about into the recruiting world. She's going to share some insights and experience. But of course, the title and kind of the purpose of this podcast is to talk about mindfulness and mental health, which is what we're going to talk about in the second part. But before that, Ira, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and we can go from there?
Of course. Thank you for the intro, Alex. And I have to start by saying that it is a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be a part of supporting your project. An honor to be your friend, and an honor to be of support to be contributing to what you're working on right now. So hopefully this conversation is useful. My name is Ira or Irina or Irina, whichever way you memorized it. I'm not going to be upset. I was born and raised in Russia, and 12 years ago, I moved to Canada. In fact, yesterday was exactly 12 years since I've arrived.
Wow.
So that was an emotional moment to process. Yeah, lots to think about. But yeah, you introduced me as a recruiter. Before recruitment, I've also done a number of interesting things in my life. I started off as a TV reporter. I was a teacher. I was a technical translator. I did project administration. And ultimately, once I moved over here, I found recruitment, and I just finding a common denominator by saying that it's just all about communication for other people. So somehow that is useful to others, and I get paid for that. um, yeah. Um,
what?
yeah.
What?
So
How did
mhm.
you like? I mean, 12 years. You've been in Canada, which is it's a milestone. I mean, for anybody who is an immigrant anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you moved and you go to a different country, that's a big milestone, and you make it as a establish yourself. So congratulations on that. But how
Thank
did
you.
you get into recruitment? I mean, that's a. I mean, from you said reporter, teacher, if I heard you correctly. Sorry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
recruiting.
Yeah. So back in Russia, I had linguistic education. My diploma says that I am a teacher of Russian language or literature and English language. And back then, I think well, all jobs were fun and interesting, but technical translation was kind of like the one step closer to where I am right now. Um, and when I moved over here, I considered a number of different paths, but one of them was perhaps doing PhD in linguistics. But I quickly realized that maybe I didn't really want to spend the rest of my life in academia. It's a very respectable path, but I also realized that it requires, a lot of sacrifice. You
Hmm.
have to be really committed, and you have to,
Hmm.
like, all in all, you have to be really committed and love what you do in order to go in academia, because yeah, it is a really challenging path too. And people in this industry that I'm in right now usually say that they stumble into recruitment. Nobody chooses recruitment, but people stumble into it.
It finds
um,
you. Maybe it
yeah.
finds you.
It finds
So
you. Yeah.
recruiting was kind of chasing your and oh, hop, I found you.
Yeah. Yeah. I found this one of these recruiting agencies that actually at some point hired me, and then they were running an available position in their back office. So I joined them and worked in that capacity first. I did a number of interesting things supporting the growth and scaling of that business in that time. And then after observing it for long enough, I thought that maybe I should try it myself, and that set me on path to becoming a technical recruiter, um, which I did for a number of years. Got lots of experience in the Canadian market, North American market too. And then last year, I spent recruiting physicians. So I was working for a government organization here in Vancouver. I was finding emergency physicians and hospitalist physicians and attracting them to come to our province. And after that, this current opportunity that I'm in attracted me as well. Currently, I'm supporting a financial organization and doing IT recruitment there. Feels like meaningful and valuable work as well. So that's my
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
path in a few sentences.
I'm taking notes, Ira, because obviously you've. I mean, I have so many questions pop in my mind, but let's start there with the fact that you've worked with a lot of people, like you said.
Mhm,
There was the IT, there was the medical, there was the now financial.
mhm.
You're meeting a lot of people on a daily basis. What did you learn from people, from working with people? What are some of the lessons or some of the things that you can share with us?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked because I definitely thought about those things. I think coming from, well, you and I are fellow Cyrillic alphabet users, Eastern Europeans, so to say,
Hmm.
and our shared mentality, like of course there are lots of differences between my culture, your culture, and all neighboring, but I think one shared feature is that we often come from there, and that's rather like a product of the environment, I think, with a no, I wouldn't want to say constricted mindset because it perhaps bears a bit of um a negative connotation to it,
Hmm.
but um, we perhaps we have witnessed fewer opportunities growing up. There was like a very set path how you progress in life, and coming to North America and starting to work here and working in recruitment, supporting a large agency, an agency that had recruiters and account managers situated in the United States and in Canada and all these different places. Seeing how people work made me realize that there are different paths to success. There are different recipes, so to say. Different personalities can be successful. It's not only A type people that are successful, maybe B type as well. It just and it's like a Rubik's cube in a
Mm.
continuously changing environment. So, uh, you know, uh, and it's great because that means that there is always something new to continue
Learn
inventing and finding, yeah, and learning from people.
different paths to success. So there's multiple ways towards success, and success is in being successful in a position. I'm
Um,
assuming in this
yeah,
case.
overall, right? So, say I've seen like thousands of resumes over these years, right? And coming from where I came from and growing up how I did, I thought, okay, well, you go to school and like you study really hard, and then you get your job, and maybe you get your PhD, whatever, like right,
Yeah,
like this
yes,
is maybe the path. But then I moved here, and I saw, Oh, and by the way, one big thing in Eastern Europe and in Russia specifically in ex-USSR countries is what you studied for defines
correct.
your life significantly. Here, I learned that somebody went to the university or college or took a program, and maybe they discovered it doesn't work for them. They do not want to do that, and it's okay.
And
You
it's
can
okay.
do other things in the world. It's not the end of the world. But that's
Absolutely.
like just one of the examples. Like I've been privileged to see thousands of those resumes of people that are competing for job opportunities here at a high level. And I got to see and analyze how people get to that success in many different ways. And
Hmm.
that honestly is just so impressive, coming from all these different cultures that people
Hmm.
come to Vancouver from, right?
Hmm.
Be it India, be it Iran, be it any European countries. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it can all look very, very different. And that is honestly very inspiring.
Wow, it's eye-opening and inspiring. That's very cool.
Hmm.
So, Ira, I think it'll be very cool for the listeners. Give us some. I mean, I don't even know how to frame that question best, but maybe we can ask it in a few different ways. What are some tips to land that dream job? Let's say it's kind of an open-ended question, but I mean,
Man,
you've
that's a
seen it,
big question.
yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah. But sorry, did you want to say something before I start?
No, that's it. I'm
Uh,
gonna build on it, but yeah, let's start with that.
Let's start with the question if I landed my dream job yet. I actually don't know. I think I'm continuing to evolve, and I'm currently really actually I am enjoying where I work, what I do. I really like my team, my my supervising team. So but here I feel there is more potential.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
I'll continue moving towards that and discovering that. But how do we find and land the dream job? And perhaps maybe I don't know if it would be too much to say, but maybe somehow I help. Well, I did hear some very nice things from people I placed in the past,
Okay, okay.
and actually like positive feedback later on. And what I noticed in all these people, I think, is that um they've accepted that you have to try a lot, open up your mind to try in different ways, different paths. Probably when you're on your way to something that is your dream, your heart's in it and it's giving you additional energy and it's giving you additional creativity. You know, I think we often come with like one tool set approaching the problem, right? And the problem is
Hmm.
finding my dream job. But I think what what is really also important is to be able to continue processing this dream and continue talking and connecting to people around you, people that maybe you look up
Hmm.
to or whose opinion you value, and talk to them about that. And maybe they know somebody, maybe they have
Hmm.
advice. And there is often also an orthodox way to get to your dream. So it might be not just what you're thinking like this.
Hmm.
Maybe like I think I told you how I found a job 2 jobs ago, just went to a birthday party and just met somebody and we chatted long, and then I ended up in that organization. There are
You
the,
did, yeah.
the world is big, the
Yeah.
opportunities are plentiful. That should be the mindset, I think, but have to work hard.
So be open-minded and
Yeah.
work from a place of abundance. I think that's what I got
Yeah,
from.
you can say that. I think what resonates with me more, because maybe that's something I had to work on really hard, is opening up my mind, learning to engage others around me, and find this inspiration and solutions everywhere.
Hmm.
And continue trying. And and then if you experience a setback, it can cause various feelings in you. Maybe you will think that, oh, it's unachievable, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. And there should be time and place to process that, because those emotions are also valid, and they give us the power to
Talking
get
about
then stand
rejection.
up.
Talking
Yeah,
about
exactly,
rejection.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If rejection happens, grieve it, get up and move on. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's a pretty like standard
Yeah.
advice, I think.
I think
If you
so.
ask ChatGPT, it will tell you the same thing.
Yes, don't worry, you're great, you're doing great, buddy. Get up and continue on, right?
Yeah.
Um, the out of the people you've placed and the people other colleagues have placed, the
Uh-huh.
successful candidates. Okay, maybe I can ask
Uh-huh.
that question that way. All the successful candidates, do they have something in common? If you had to kind of strip and say, you know what, this is what I've noticed successful people have when we're placing them in those jobs.
Yeah, I think it's continuing to show up, because I constantly also have conversations with friends of mine about, like, oh, can you look at my resume? Oh, can you like help me brainstorm this? Like, I'm coming back to the market. I haven't looked for a long time. It's, um, I I really like this. I think it's an American saying, like, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Just continue throwing. Man, I mean, by no means you have to be strategic, but I think a problem that I often see is people are like not showing up or not putting themselves out there. I think it's
Oh
useful
wow.
to have a conversation at least once a year, better maybe like once a quarter, once every half a year, to just continue noticing what's in the market, continue connecting. Those
Oh.
people, I think, also network. They're open to networking. Yeah, and the other thing is maybe to not take. Well, I think rejection actually is a really big part of how you handle rejection of being successful,
Hmm.
because every single day I log in on LinkedIn, and absolutely at least once a day I see a big post about how all recruiters are awful, and it's so hard to find a job, and I applied to 1,000 places, da 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 da, like this kind of things. Um, but I think what I've seen over these years also is that there is only so much that the candidate can do, and absolutely you have to like continue showing up, and it's hard, and you're applying everywhere, and you're adjusting your resumes, and you're having conversations with recruiters, and you're maybe having interviews, and maybe you had multiple, maybe you had an offer, maybe it fell through. That is all the candidate part of the experience, but then there is also a part of the experience that is happening on the organization side with this job, with this seat. And when the organization says, unfortunately this is a no for us, please, please, please do not take this personally, because very often it is not personal, and there is a multitude of reasons behind it. It's not because you're a bad, stupid, bad candidate. So I
Mhm.
think this specific part also, especially when people are younger and they're like not quite yet adjusted to the realities of the market. But honestly, like anytime you go back on the market, rejection sucks, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but to be a successful candidate, it means that you need to continue showing up. To continue showing up, it means that you need to grieve and bounce back faster. To grieve and bounce back faster, you need to understand that it's not all dependent on you alone. That
Mhm.
is a
Mhm.
very vulnerable stance. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. So you, like you said, you have to show up. That's consistency. You have to be persistent and consistent. So I take that advice because it's absolutely valid. Can you maybe, there was one funny case you've had, something that makes you laugh when you think about, like an experience in recruiting that always puts a smile on your face, whether it's a silly name, not name of the person, but something written on a resume, or something that it shouldn't have had, like a funny email or something.
I didn't really have like a specific case come into mind, but I just changed jobs, and people saw on LinkedIn that, I'm recruiting tech again, and some started reaching out, and I've had just like some very sweet very, very sweet feedback about like what us working on a role like several years ago did for them at that point. But I was just merely a facilitator of that opportunity. So I don't feel like I single-handedly, Irina, changed their life. I was there. I was fortunate to be, the facilitator of it. But for funny things, I can just give you like a quick summary of funny things that people continue doing in
Please,
2025.
please.
Like, um, I had this conversation with some of my friends too. Please do not put your photo on the resume. I think people misunderstand the format really badly. You have your photo on your LinkedIn profile. That's your social where you advertise who you are. But on the resume, no, 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 no pictures, please. No marital status, no passport data, like all of this. I continue seeing this so often, and from people like you would be surprised, from all nationalities, all skill sets, ages. Like it's a universal thing. It happens somewhat often, but it's a silly thing. It's just like also protection of your
Private.
personal
Yeah, yeah.
status and private information. Other funny things. Well, I had candidates, I think. Uh, you know, I somehow like more stressful situations come to mind than funny ones.
You can share
Um,
one of those too, I guess.
I can share the proudest deal I had. I think the
Okay.
quickest placement I've done in my life was probably like under 1 hour, when I was in an agency, and my account manager that was dealing with the hiring manager in the business side told me
Hmm.
that there is an open job for a specific skill set. And I just called, like, I just knew who would
The
be
right person.
a fantastic fit for this. And before even this job was published anywhere and went live and was shared with anyone else ever, like, I just said, I have this person, she's available. There you go. And she was
She's the,
hired. Like, it
wow.
was done within like 2 days. So that makes me
Wow.
really proud. I still remember that.
Oh, those are the moments. Those are the moments for sure. But the reason I'm asking you for funny moments because
Yeah.
back in the day, one of my career in the financial world, I was also part of my job as a manager was the hiring procedure, and
Hmm.
I would go through resumes, and one really stuck with me, and it was a lady, I suppose, but the email was sexy lady 99 at the
Oh, that
time,
happens
and
all the time.
at hotmail.com or whatever it was, I can't remember the exact thing. And I'm just like, my other manager that we were there were laughing. It's like, you're a professional, it's a professional financial analyst
Yeah.
work, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then you have this email. So anyway, these little things that you see in the resumes, I thought maybe you have a story like this, but
Oh God, I saw a lot of hilarious email handles for sure. Um, yeah, also if you deal with incorporated consultants, you get to see what people name their company, and sometimes it's just something hilarious, like a one lady that was like a incorporated recruiter in a company I supported. Her incorporation name was Purple Squirrel, and Purple Squirrel is a phenomenon in recruitment. It's like it's that ideal candidate that everybody wants, but like they're non-existent. You know, the Purple Squirrel.
there,
So
yes,
that was quite
non-existent.
funny. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I didn't have like any punchy ones
No,
for
that's
you right
fine.
now that would like absolutely destroy your audience, and like everybody would be like, ha ha ha, this is memorable. But yeah, maybe it will come back to me later, like 3 days
Maybe it
later
will.
when nobody
I know.
cares. Yeah.
That's fine. I want to ask one more question before we move to
Sure.
speak more about kind of the mindfulness topic that
Yeah.
we've gathered here to talk about. AI must be a part of your role as well, or the world of recruiting. What is your personal call, and maybe professional, from the professional experience,
Mm.
in about whether AI will, the fear of AI taking the jobs of the humans, of humans in general. How do you feel
Mm.
about this topic? 5, 10,
Mm.
20 years?
Oh, great question. And these conversations are happening everywhere right now, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's definitely here. It's definitely going to be redefined in the markets everywhere. I guess if we just zoom out and we look at the history of humanity, like in a macro level, we will see all these technological uh, bursts that are redefining, everything, how people live, communicate, and whatnot. Um, I It's a bit of a shame that I've not, well, I was on vacation, okay? I've not really like listened to anything interesting or read anything interesting about what the leading minds think about where AI is going to go. Um, it has a place, it will be here. So I think the best is to just, you know, accept the anxiety and go and take a course and learn how it works and learn how it can be useful because um, 20 years ago, what we got search engines and everybody started using Google, excuse me, and
Hmm.
we just ran with it, right? It will, the progress will carry on. So
Yeah. So
I do understand why people are afraid of it for sure.
mhm, it will change. I like the word redesign the environment and the market, and then you have a choice. You always have a choice to learn, adapt, grow with it, right? Because it's here to stay. And I would like to finish on that for that question, because it's the right attitude, right? You have to adapt it.
My mom always says, she quotes Charles Darwin to me very often, that the survival of the species is defined by how successfully the said species adapts to the ever-changing environment.
Yeah, well, there you go. We are ever changing here, and that technology is probably even making that change even faster, which means we have to adapt faster. I like it. I like it.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you for telling us a bit about yourself, a bit about the world of recruiting. I'm sure there's a lot more, like you said, to share. It's a
Of
big
course.
world. But what we've got here to talk about is mindfulness, mental health, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of noise in the recent years about mental health, and rightly so. It is a big topic, and it should be, because it affects us, right? Like our mental health is, I mean, for me, that's kind of number one, right? Um, but it's one particular area in it, and I call it the kind of the voice in our head, and I call it the talker at Mind Triumph. We have named it. I call it the talker, and this is what I want to talk about here: the talker in you. And I want to open up this second part of our podcast with asking you: when I say the talker in your mind or the talker in you, what comes to your mind?
Hmm.
How do you
Great,
understand it?
great question. I've always had a huge interest in psychology. Took university level courses because I was studying to be a teacher. So, like, had a pretty substantial understanding of how things operate. And personally, I've also been in therapy for the past 3 years. So when you say the talker, and I got so excited when I saw that you started working on this project. It just made me think. Back then, I remember how a lot of us Eastern Europeans, since we are socialized in this very like high, high standard, very like critical culture, this is how we internalize, the demands of the environment, and we kind of regulate our entire, thinking process, all of our actions through the lens of this talker. And talker can be cruel for sure. I was actually just having post vacation, came back to Vancouver a week ago, and I was having a therapy session with my therapist. And I proudly told her that this time I did not take the talker on a vacation with me. The talker stayed home. It tried to call me, but I was like, no.
Okay, all right. How does it
Yeah.
try to call you? Like, what do you do? Like, how when it tries to call, what comes? What is
Oh,
the
well,
sentence?
maybe I'll skip this part because it's a bit personal what
Oh, sure.
exactly happened there,
Hmm.
because it has to do not with just with me. But yeah, I'm like proudly I worked through that, and through that part, and through the talker. But yeah, in the moments of maybe not acute stress, or like of certain type of stress, it activates, and it can tell you all sorts of things, that you're unworthy, nobody loves you, you will die alone, you are a failure, da 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 da, like all this kind of things.
That sounds
Yeah.
exactly like the talker. And from experience, I gotta tell you,
Hmm.
this is not just your talker. That's the
Yeah.
majority of
Well
us
familiar,
humans.
yeah.
Yes, we deal with some. Okay, so you went on vacation without the talker. This is very good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
left it back in Vancouver and felt good,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Oh God, I had an amazing vacation. Well, you probably know, but part of the reason is that I went to a place that I was really looking forward to go in at some point. It is London. I went for the first time. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but the other, I think, big reason why the talker stayed at home is because I've been in therapy for 3 years, and I've worked very hard on this. So yeah,
Right
it's
on.
just it's continuous hard work, incremental, like slow. It's very boring showing up week after week, and breaking um your inner software apart to fix the bugs, rewrite the code, add new features and whatnot.
Wow. Okay. You
Yeah,
said some powerful things, and I've seen you grow in these 3 years,
thank
and
you.
it's amazing. So well done on that. I think there's absolutely no shame. Many people go, and most everybody should look for. It doesn't have to be called help. Just reaching out to share. It could be sharing. It could be help, but there is the need for that. You said rewriting the software, changing the software, improving something like that, and it's really good that you said that. What are some of the things that you learned from this therapy that you can share that have worked for you in when it comes to rewriting the software or calming the talker?
Hmm. Let me think a little.
Practices
Well,
maybe.
yeah, well, no, I think for me they're more like it's less about the practice and more about taking the time to uh you know okay. So this is the concept that I came up with like many
Mhm.
years ago, and I've also used it in therapy as well. That whatever responses we internalized to certain triggers when we were much younger, whatever stage that was of our development, they become short and quick, like shortcuts, like quick algorithms. And then as we progress through life, or, we face certain stressors again and again, different kind of stressors. Our mind is like, oh, it's this, use this shortcut, like, completely like start hating on yourself, for example, right? And what therapy has allowed me is to first, like, it's a very big and complex process where you learn to, first of all, be present with your emotions. So yeah, that's one big thing actually, like to not be afraid of your emotions. I was actually just like writing a long journal entry about this, that
Well,
uh, therapy
very.
allowed me to start, like, I grew up in like a very like an intellectual family, and like feelings were just like seen as something like for like weaklings,
Mhm,
so we do not feel, we only think. And well, but people do feel by default, and we
mhm,
do experience it. But then when something happens in our family, like, we do not know how to deal with that, and it becomes just like nasty, ugly conflict that
mhm,
never resolves, because we do not know how to feel, how to face our emotions, how to hold the space for other people emotions. I learned that, I'm a living human being. It's okay for me to feel things. If you're upset with me right now, Alex, like before, maybe I would be just feeling the weight of that and whatnot. Today I'd be like, maybe Alex is upset, like, well, first of all, I should ask him about that instead of assuming. And
correct.
second of all, he has the right to be upset, even if he's upset with me. Well, that will be a bit harder to deal with, right? Because it has to do with me. Maybe I'm imperfect. Oh my God. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, lots and lots of things.
Wow.
I think it
Wow.
really just helps you to shift the focus, realize that you are not a bad human being for experiencing all of this, creates the space. It allows
Mhm,
you have better communication with others. It
mhm,
allows you to stop hating on yourself. But the biggest thing is that all these processes, all these algorithms that you internalized when you were younger in your developmental stages, it takes tremendous amount of
mhm,
brain and physical
mhm.
power to keep on protecting them. And once you resolve these things, it's like in the computer game when you achieve a new level, or like you break some spell, suddenly you have such an influx of vitality and energy, because once you like dig in there, like, or maybe it's like a bone that healed incorrectly, and then you go for a surgery again, and they have to break it, and they have to like realign it again. That's what the process is like. But then
Wow.
once you get to that freaking healing stage, it's it's blissful, honestly. Like, my
Amazing.
life has gotten times and times better because of this.
Wow. Okay. Like you're giving us so much, and I'm trying to write
I
things
know,
down.
sorry.
Yo, it's beautiful. It's exactly what we're here for. You're not a bad human being, you said. This is really powerful, and I want to repeat it for people listening and hearing and seeing us. Is that yes, the fact that the talker creates so much, can create so much pain, drama internally, right? The nagging voice, like Ira was saying, and all the pain and heaviness that can come with it, does not make you a bad human. It just makes you a person who can reach for help, like Ira has done, and she's done so well with this 3 years of work, and which is amazing. You also said be present with emotions. I learned to be present with emotions. I assume that helps you kind of not only let them, sit with them, feel them, but also maybe separate and see that they create a separation, because sometimes you can kind of
100%. Hundred
right.
percent. I now know that. Well, my therapist always compares it with like an ocean wave. Like it will
Mm-hmm,
splash on you, but it will go away. The
mm-hmm.
thing is, it's like it's a funny thing. The more you resist it, the more you avoid it, the more you try to eat your emotions away, drink them away. I don't know. You probably don't use
Cry them
adult.
away.
Yeah, you probably don't use adult language here,
Mhm.
but look, you can use all of the addictions to anything
Yes.
that is remotely addicting to numb those emotions. The more you will be running from that, the more it will be stuck with you, chasing you, and your personality will be so like perversed because of that, because you're carrying whatever the pain, whatever the assumption that was made so many years ago. The other thing that it allows me um is to do thing, I finally learned like, I'm 36, and I finally started following what I feel and what my heart is telling me, and that is just such a much much nicer way to live my life. I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't mean that like I deny the intelligence and thinking before I make a decision,
No.
but I started noticing what makes me feel good. You know, that's why I've like went for a vacation to London finally. I wanted to go my entire life. I don't know
Hmm.
why the hell was I postponing
Hmm.
this, made me feel amazing. I started taking dancing classes again. I grew up as a dancer. It was a big part of my life, but immigration kind of had me, put that away for a long time. I got back to dancing in January. I'm probably not gonna become a performer. I'm probably not, going to achieve like Olympic level of greatness there, but it makes me feel so good.
Amazing.
And that's
Amazing.
the when you deal with
Yeah.
it, start dealing with the talker, you start giving yourself more permissions to be alive, to
Hmm.
enjoy life, and
Ooh.
you allow others to do that around you, and people sense it somehow that you allow yourself to be chill, that you celebrate them, that you support them, that you celebrate yourself, and people also want
Wow.
to connect with you because they can sense that in you,
They
that you
can
won't
sense it.
judge them. Yeah,
What is, I mean, again, lots of things happening here. What you resist, you persist. I just want to say that because you were saying about
exactly. Yeah.
resistance. But the next thing that is what you said, people notice when you worked on the talker, there's more presence, appreciation in you towards yourself and definitely towards others. Because if you're gonna love and appreciate yourself more, it's instantly transitioning to other people because you understand they're in the same boat as you. But what is it that they feel? You said that they feel something about it. What is that one thing that's different? If you can
Well,
name it.
I wouldn't know what exactly they feel. I just noticed that um when you're present, like when you're in peace with yourself, I think that like you accept yourself as an imperfect human being. You will never be perfect, right? It's easier to like when you're just like not constantly stressed about matching whatever non-existent ideal is out there. Like I often see this phenomenon in Instagram comments, for example. People, like, I don't know, a person talks about something and there are people that jump in the comment and they're like, this is wrong, you said this wrong, and then uh and this has nothing to do with what the person is sharing. Like, yeah, maybe they made like freaking 20 mistakes and while they were saying this, right? But this is not what should be celebrated. It's you have this standard upon yourself that your speech is imperfect, or god forbid you say something wrong, you should be policed, that it prevents you from sharing whatever you have, the ideas, whatever you want to share with the world, right? and
Yeah.
and you project it onto others and you police others as well,
Yes.
because nobody is allowed to make mistakes. Nobody.
Well, that's what the talker loves, right? To project these mistakes and
And
to make
control,
other
yeah.
people and try to control,
Yeah.
make other people look bad. You're right. Can I ask you, throughout this therapy, the 3 years that you've done this amazing work, has the talker, uh, or is the talker showing up less often than before? Can we say that with certainty?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
100%. I'm working on different things now. I would say it's like it's layers. I think the first year of therapy, you're just learning to find contact with your therapist and trust. Well, it moves in different paces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then I learned to, uh, you know, actually understand my emotions, that like, oh, I'm angry. Like if I'm angry, I should l- you know experience that anger instead of like trying to stuff it
Mm-hmm.
down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only the talker. For example, I've suffered from an eating disorder growing up, and uh, maybe only like the last year or so that I would say like I'm actually doing so fine with my nutrition. Like it's a very exhausting thing to have, and I feel like it's more prevalent in women than men for like obvious reasons, that looks are
Mm-hmm.
more of a thing,
Praised. Praised.
whatever the culture, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the culture you take, ladies are always a bit more con-
Self-conscious
con-
about their
con-
looks.
controlled through looks, I would say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's a very exhausting thing to live with, and I would say that through dealing with the talker, the talker gives you stress too, right? You're stressing
Of
yourself
course.
out. If you're feeling less stress, maybe you feel less need to comfort yourself with food, for example,
Hmm.
just as simplistic as that,
Hmm.
right? Dealing with talker means that um you will allow yourself to have more simple fun, like I started taking dance classes,
Dancing.
right? um Dealing with stalker means that you now understand whose voices that came from, but you do not demonize those people. So in my case, for example, it's my dad, who I love a lot, but we barely talk these days because he contributed significantly to this voice. But I do not demonize him. I understand that the talker is a protective mechanism that formed, through generations in our family,
Hmm.
probably, that
Hmm.
nobody ever dealt with.
Wow.
But I live in such a wonderful time where, therapy is accessible. We can share information. I can read books, and I can work on that, and
Wow.
I can make myself less unhappy. I wish I could help my
Wow.
dad, but he needs to want that himself, right? But I
Correct.
still love him. I understand that because this is a part of our communication, it is
Hmm.
unfortunately very difficult to make that happen. Yeah.
Wow, that's you just this is huge. So I want to pause, and then I kind of sum it up here for myself and for the viewers. You said that, like, I can recognize, that the awareness to recognize where some of these voices or where parts of that voice are coming from. But then in your case, your dad, and often his parents, I don't
Hmm.
I don't create like a hate or demonize that person or blame, right? Because I've done that in the past and it doesn't work. I know this is not the right path. And this is huge for you, Ira. Like, you've realized that there's awareness here, there's forgiveness, because
Hmm.
obviously, I mean, if I hear you correctly, right, you're not blaming your dad, but instead you're turning into, hey, look, it's 21st century. Where I live, there's options that you can go to therapy, there's tools you can read, you can self better yourself, and this is what you're doing. It's amazing. This is
Hmm.
amazing.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it shows on you. I didn't know for the eating disorder in the past, but you look great right now, which is again a proof of
Thank you.
all the great work that you're doing. Ira, it's amazing. Before the therapy and now,
Mhm.
what did the talker the favorite sentence of the talker was then, and how has it changed now? Like, maybe for me it might have been, oh, you're not good enough. What was it for
Mm.
you, and has it changed today, 3 years later?
Mm. I would say I'm still working on this because, not everything can be handled with oh, sorry, what I'm inventing English. Handled at once. Um Dealt with, I wanted to say. I think the core assumption is that I think it's always been something around the lines of I'm very mediocre, unimpressive. It's impossible to love me. I do not deserve any love. Um, and yeah, that's human psyche, our brain is a very interesting mechanism, is a very interesting thing, because many of us choose to not choose form similar coping mechanisms, and so all together hand holding, we can recognize what it is and heal from it. But yeah, again, it manifests
And
in all of us in a very, very different way. um, what I was saying before, yeah, it's just that I'm undeserving. Like it still
yeah.
shows up in me often, like it's like shards of broken glass that you
Mm,
find everywhere,
yeah.
because it can damage your relationship with career, with work, 100%. It can damage how you're showing up in friendships. Immigration also, like, pretty much, like, nearly broke me. Like, way before we met, Alex, I so a few years ago, I was before I started therapy, I was diagnosed with clinical depression and major oh no, generalized anxiety disorder. So yeah, like this thing, if you have it, like, I like to joke that, I'm so smart. I'm not a dumb person. I'm so smart that my inner talker is so smart that it drove me to such a depth of depression.
And that's
But
and that's
what if
your
I use this power for good now, Maybe
wow.
we can just use it with a different vector.
And that's Europe for you out there. She will turn and make like she said, like I make a joke out of it. She is a positive person, an amazing human being. And I'm sorry to hear that you've gone through those things, but the talk is relentless. It will drive you to the brink of depression, anxieties, illnesses, and in many cases, we know in the
Yeah,
world, suicides, even thoughts or attempting them, which means the talker is certainly insane. And yet, and you even said the talker can be cruel. These are your words, and I 100%
very.
agree with that. Why? And but you also said protective mechanism. So how is it protecting us if it's doing all these things to us?
Mm, I think, and that's after hours of analyzing my relationship with my dad and just how I see him showing up in life and knowing things about how he grew up. Um, this this mechanism is a survival thing in a way that it tells you, stay within the safe boundaries of your personality and do not mess around more than that,
Okay,
because like this is safe, this is good,
we
you're
know
not
this. We
necessarily
know this. Yeah.
yeah, you're not necessarily sounding very positive to yourself, but uh our hardware is not about our being happy, it's about our survival and feeding
Oh,
ourselves and passing our genes
okay.
onto the universe. So
Oh,
it's not about finding us making us happy. So
that's it. That's it. Mhm.
this mechanism is telling you, do not f around, do not think of yourself too much. This is good, this is working, right? If you uh maybe venture out, that is dangerous, it's cruel, but it's telling you, do not f around because it's
Wow.
dangerous.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, mental notes. Mental notes. I mean, Ira just hit it the hammer with the hammer on the nail here. Even though it's cruel, even though it can be so negative towards you, we still somehow, for maybe for like Ira said, for survival, we prefer to stay with it. We prefer to stay with it in it, but even though it's so it can be so painful and not let
Like
it go.
Stockholm syndrome.
Right? It's
Yeah,
interesting. Like even though it
yeah.
sucks, it's me, it's mine, and I want it. it's
It's
that,
like
right.
it's the same thing like why so many women stay in unsafe situation, men too,
Yeah.
albeit to a lesser capacity, but why so many women are staying in abusive relationships, right?
This is
Because yeah, you
it's familiar.
no, you internalize first of all that this is your worth or you have none, and this is your best scenario.
Wow.
Yeah.
But here, this is again the talker creating this kind of like scenario yeah, like for yourself because you're talking
Mm-hmm.
yourself into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and maybe the reality isn't like one step aside. You have something better, but like you said, you're psyching yourself. This is very interesting. Why?
I
Yeah.
actually learned you don't have to listen to your own thoughts too. It's just you can visualize it. You can visual it's hilarious really. Like some this is also what therapy gave me. And that's what something that meditation gives to some people, but I for the love of God I cannot meditate.
Okay,
That
fair.
you learn to distance like you go into like God mode, like this is your head and like things are happening in it,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
go like
Okay.
in a God mode or like in a surgery operation room mode, and you kind of see
Self from above.
yourself from above, yeah, and you see what's happening in it, and things are passing by, and you can be like, oh, that was a thought. That's an interesting thought. Well, if you thought, bye, you know.
But you said something golden again. You shouldn't
Mm.
also you should also you don't have to listen to your own thoughts. But I want to ask you, what are your own thoughts? Do we know that they're your own thoughts? Are they things you've taken for granted? They repeated inside you and you think they're your own, but are they really your own?
That's such a good question, Alex. This has been the main theme of my most recent existential crisis. Do we even have any original thoughts? Because
Oh.
I think that, well, this is a thinking that I had around our jobs and how we define our careers. Very, very, very often, and there is nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean that we're again bad, stupid human beings. It's just how it is. Very often, we are the product of our environment, of our context, right? And so thinking also like all of our how we deal with feelings, maybe we bring from family, how we deal with the new thoughts, maybe we internalize what social media and other media, the our relationship with media also changed so much over the past decade, like with the phones and
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic scare, like when we were just all neurotically continuously watching the news and whatnot, right? Maybe we internalize that anxiety. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
like, is there a freaking original
Original
thought in
thought.
your brain ever? We do not know. And if we don't allow ourselves times of boredom, times of silence. And that's why our generation is also very different, because we're constantly plugged in. But it's the moments of silence where we can actually learn about ourselves and hear ourselves, right?
Let's talk about that for a bit because we are touching something very special. So, my answer to this question, which is a brilliant question, do we have any original thoughts? The talker, so individual talkers, do not ever have any original thoughts because they are a repeating Latin machine that just kind of recycles, cycles, maybe changes the format and comes back to a different angle, but it's always the same thing and it's not original. But like you said, it comes generation. You said the example with your family. Thanks for sharing. Generation of that build up of that talker. So talker, even though you might think you're intelligent and it's gonna give you something smart, no. But like you said, silence. And then there was somebody famous who said, "God is in silence" or something like that. I'm not quoting it
And
correctly.
Depeche Mode also asked us to enjoy the silence. Words are meaningful,
Okay. So
meaningless,
what
and forgettable.
that very true, very true. But what is in silence, Ira? Like what is it in silence that is so beautiful?
Hmm. So I'm not particularly religious. I grew up an atheist, albeit on the remnants of an Orthodox Christian culture. But I think with time, I've developed more of an agnostic mindset that potentially there might be some type of bigger thing out there, but something is there. Not necessarily like a guy in the sky with a
Okay.
beard and everything. I apologize to everybody who
Well, no,
who
fair enough. That's a fair
and
comment.
yeah, but like there must be some type of like think about the fact that we are just like nothing but like a stardust, right? Like isn't that a magnificent thought? So I think when we shut ourselves off and we don't talk, we don't engage, we don't communicate, we don't try to pursue whatever agenda, like we finally like the dust settles and we can actually recognize what is happening with us. And mm, I do understand that it is quite a luxury, and I'm just saying this so easily. Maybe I have fewer commitments that some other, like a lot busier people have out there. But moments of silence, it's not a coincidence that meditation has become popularized so much over the past decades, right? That
Oh.
we're all numbing ourselves constantly, yet what we really need is silence. We need
Mhm.
those stupid 8 hours of sleep and to be on our own a little bit, and there is no need in any expensive add-ons, any expensive supplements and new gadgets and whatnot to promote. I'm finding it hilarious that like there is an app for an app, and
Yeah.
we just constantly try to like beeline to our way to things, but you just really need to chill.
No, exactly. But you know what's something interesting that I want to bring up here? Silence, and I can speak from example right now because I find myself through years of work, I'm a lot more present and I can find presence in the busiest of streets. So silence while yes, finding a quiet place to calm down, have meditation or rest, it's a great place to start. If you are present inside, silence inside, the talker is gone, they can be, so to speak, a storm outside you, and you will be unshakably present and silent inside,
That's so
calm,
well said.
right? So silence, while it's important, like you said, well, yeah, you have not that many commitments, like maybe a busy mom with 4 kids and it seems to be busy. She can too be present and silent inside while there's a storm outside, right? So this is what this podcast is about: is finding that peace inside. In outside, you
Mm,
cannot control things
I
often,
see.
right?
Examining what's happening inside you and who had the influence in that.
Mm.
And yeah, yeah, is that an original thought? Yeah, I mean, as I said already, we are so fortunate and privileged to live in a time where this information is openly shared. I had this chat with my mom quite often too. She's quite an optimist that never stops working on herself, and she's grown spiritually as well, spiritually, emotionally, whichever way you want to call it, over over the years that I've been seeing it. And yeah, there is absolutely, there is always a hope. And I think the most powerful and magnificent thing is that you are in charge. It's in your own hands. But you just like, I think what really helped me in life, and what really helped me get out of depression, go through immigration on my own, come back up from multiple setbacks that I've experienced, is just the desire to help myself,
Cool.
okay, okay, like it sucks right now, but I want it to be better. Like, so what can I do to make it better?
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's wonderful. This spirit and this being in you that's glowing, and despite all the conversation that the talker can give you and all the circumstances that can happen outside of your hands, you're still there and kind of, no, it's beautiful. I really like, and it shows because I've known you for a bit, and you're that kind of person. It's not just talk. Like, you will find a way.
Thank you.
You'll get up, you'll find a different angle, and you figure it out. So this is not the talker that's coming from presence. You manage situations, because the talker doesn't manage anything. It can create stress, anxiety, worry, give another 100 scenarios of how it can go even worse, but it doesn't manage anything. Management of a situation comes from present. Okay, this is what happened. What are my choices? What can I do? This is managing situation, right? Which
I
is
think the talker is an accumulation of the voices of people that were wounded and they were hopeless and pessimistic. And what helps me, sometimes like it's a common trope in horror movies how, there is this an ancient evil or ghost, whatever. And once the main character feels their pain, then it is released. So that's kind of like how I'm thinking
ah,
about it, that instead of like I'm not saying that this is how
mhm,
you
mhm.
necessarily see it, but like instead of seeing it as maybe like, oh no, it's that negative thing inside me. Well, if you think of it, why these people that were in your environment, they were not necessarily driven by any malicious intent, but they had negative beliefs and negative view of themselves
Mhm.
because of also the pain that they've been caused.
Mhm,
They've
mhm,
been
mhm,
restricted, neglected,
mhm, mhm.
unloved.
Absolutely.
And that's why they had such a little and negative and punishing view. Of course, some people are just straight up evil, so that's definitely there as well. But most people out there, even we all know at least a couple people like that. Like,
Mhm.
I started looking at it differently now that like I'm just a bit older, and I'm thinking, yeah, even like with my own dad, like this is the lack of love, the lack of love.
Barakallah. Well, that's
Mhm.
another realization, and you are a young human being, but so aware. Like, so there's so much realization in you, which is amazing, and I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. Towards the end of it, do you have a name? Have you ever named your talker? Some people do. Just
Well,
curious.
this is something that ex-USSR people would recognize. Maybe Ellie would recognize that actually. And I actually don't know, maybe you remember this cartoon as well. Do you remember the story of Crocodile Gena and Cheburashka?
Yes, of course.
And do you remember there was this old mean lady and her name was Shapakliak?
That I don't remember.
Okay, I'll show you an episode after, or maybe like a picture. But there was just this mean old lady that was just like, creating trouble all the time. So I don't know. It's not that I remember the character very well or I associate with it. I just think that the sound of it just
Reminds you.
is kind of funny. Yeah. To names said
That's
entity. So
funny.
yeah, it's she
That's
she is
funny. Okay.
Shapakliak. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. That's
Mhm.
one that I haven't heard. And this has been a great conversation. We are at the
Likewise.
1 hour mark. I want to ask you my landing question. I always ask this question, and we can wrap up with that. And the question is, if your talker was an actual human being standing right in front of you, separate than you, standing right in front of you right
Mhm.
now, what would you tell her or it?
Mm, um, mm, yeah, I think I would have to invite my therapist and have a conversation like three of us together. Because I think I'm mostly chill and at peace with my inner talker these days for the most part. There are like certain sensitive places where there I still have to do some processing, some work. So just to be more open, like I've been on my own for like many, many years, and I'm having a really hard time like establishing close relationships. At some point, it was just even hard for me to be like friends with people, like
Mhm.
I have an amazing talent to self isolate. But yeah, going to back to where I'm having the biggest problem right now is, yeah, finding or meeting somebody who could be a good match. And yeah, I think I would just like have a chat about like, so why is it exactly that I'm unlovable in these scenarios? Like, can
Okay.
because I've started like probing that in therapy, and
Mhm.
it creates like an insane amount of pain for me.
Wow.
But I'm feeling very optimistic. Usually that means that the end is near.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, sorry,
We're
that's
gonna
not a
ask.
short answer.
No, no, we don't. We're not looking for short. You're gonna ask some questions out of the talker, right?
Mm.
And it's about that topic of, as you say it, unlovable. I don't think that's the case, but she might be telling you that's the case,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly. So, yeah, it's just there are just specific situations where I would be like, well, how did you arrive to these conclusions? Because that's what I was talking about earlier, that shortcut algorithm, that
Mm.
like one like I also like the metaphor of like when you have to clean the drain in the bathroom, there is like so much long hair,
Hmm.
somebody with very long hair that probably sometimes it gets clogging up the
Yeah,
drain, right?
yeah.
So you have to like pull it all up and like in order to clean the drain, right? So
Yes,
so the
yes,
water flows
yes,
through freely.
yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of like I just need to understand like what is all this hair about? Like,
Yeah,
oh, how
that's
how
it.
did you get there? But because things happen so quickly, so painfully, like the talker just like a cobra, like
Yes.
protects me from
Mm-hmm.
hurting myself again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even able, like it prevents me from connecting with people. I'm like, oh no, I'm good, actually I'm totally good on my own, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I hope you, through therapy, you find these answers and then unlock this, because, I mean, the way I know you from outside, but that's not the way the talker tells you you are. That's the difference. You are a very lovable, kind, smiley,
Thank you.
positive person. And so I hope that you kind of have that realization, because it is the truth.
Thank you, I really
Now,
appreciate that, it's very kind to say.
thank you for being our guest today, and I'm looking forward to talking to you in the future, see how your therapy has developed, what else you have kind of discovered about the talk, about yourself, and where you'd be at that place. But thank you, Ira. It was a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you for listening to my tribe. Share it or leave me a note. Remember, your talker isn't you, presence is. Less talker, more presence. See you next time.